Today I'm going to show you a little video on how to do different stretches for the one muscle group. So when we do stretches, the best thing to do is find a stretch that works best for you. So in class we tend to, or I'll tend to do a stretch and everyone tends to follow with that stretch. However, if you know that there's different ways of doing that stretch for that muscle group, and you know that the one we're doing at the time doesn't work for you, then you can change to the one that does. So it might sound a bit confusing, but we're going to work on our hamstring today, and there's different ways you can do this one. You can do this one standing, you can do this one sitting on the floor, you can do it sitting in a chair, you can do this one lying down. So all those different positions will still stretch the hamstring, and it's finding the best one for you. Now, the one we typically do, if it's a standing class that we're doing, for example, Zumba or something that we've just been standing the whole session, rather than going to the floor, then I tend to stretch that muscle group in standing because it just makes sense. So, to do the hamstring, what we do is we step forward, and then what we do is the back leg will bend. So what I've now done is I've bent the back leg, but the front leg is straight. Now the muscle group, the hamstrings, are here. So they're coming into the back of the knee, they're coming from the hip. So the hip and the knee, these two joints, have to pull away from each other to stretch the hamstring muscles, a bit like the band. Okay, so if I want that band to stretch in two directions, I need one end to pull away from the other end. So if that was my hip muscle, and this is my knee joints, not my hip muscle, sorry, my hip joint and my knee joint, both those joints, if those two joints pull apart, can you see the band goes tighter? The muscle stretches out. But the closer together those joints come, then there's no stretch happening. Okay, so that's probably the better way to show you. If this was the muscle, when I push the hip joint and the knee joint away, the muscle stretches, the band stretches. But when I let the hip and the knee joint come together, no stretch occurs. So that is why if I bend the knee, there's no stretch. If I straighten the knee, I'm now able to push the hip away from the knee joint and be getting a stretch. So things that will help this stretch is push the hip back and push the heel down. And as long as that knee is strong, and try it with me, then you'll feel the stretch. Now, if you're not very warmed up, then don't go too deep into the stretch. It's just to get a feel of it. So that's one way of doing your hamstring. So that would be both sides that you have to work. Another way of doing your hamstring, now this isn't for everybody because not everyone likes to do this one, would be to take your legs wide, and then you would just take your hips, I'm just laughing at Juno, you would take yourself forwards, I don't know if she wants to come in, you would from here come forward again, the knees are straight, I feel the stretch. If I bend the knees, the stretch has gone. Now, you could do this and take your feet to the floor, or you could go over to a little table or a chair, couch. If that was a couch, I could lean on the couch so that I'm not having to go so far down. But as long as I'm pushing the heel down, pushing the bottom, backing up, I can feel that stretch in the hamstring. So that's the other way of doing that one. You could take it to the floor, and sometimes we do because we're already on the floor, so it makes sense to then do the stretches on the ground. However, if you're in that situation and you know I don't like lying on the floor, I don't like sitting on the floor, you would come up. Now this stretch we did here, if you imagine, I don't have a chair handy, but if I sat in a chair, it would be the same stretch. So I could stand or sit. Now for this, I'm going to take the band around the feet. You might not need the band, you might be flexible enough that you're able to come forward. It just depends on your back as well. My back's a wee bit stiff today, so I'm just going to use a band. So I can then keep the knees, I don't know if you can see that, I'll try and get the band out of the way. Keep the knees down and come forward to feel the stretch. You'll feel it in your back as well, but I'm trying to get the stretch in the back of the thigh. So that is a different way of doing that stretch. Again, still sitting up, one leg out, one foot coming to that inner thigh. You might happily reach your foot and stretch. Again, use what you need to. You might want to use a band, and you're just bringing your body forward, not hunching, you're bringing your body forward. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm not rounding, I'm just easing forward. Can you see the difference? I can feel that in the hamstring. Obviously, when you're working one side, you've got to do the same on the other side. I'm just showing you one side at the moment. So that's 2 for sitting. The other way that we tend to do this one is lying down. So if you knew that we were in a class and I'm here, I always tend to tell you that you can sit up. It's in case I forget to say. Then you could do this without a band and just hold the leg, heel up towards the ceiling, push the lower back into the mat. You'll get that stretch. Or if you needed the band, and I find the band you can really relax, it helps me, then it's the same thing. Lower back pushes into the floor, heel up towards the ceiling, and then I've got control of this leg with the band. So as I breathe out, I can go deeper. And I can feel that if it eases off without the knee bending, of course, then I can just guide my leg closer towards me without bending the knee, just by this band. Can you see? I've really got control of my leg with this band. So that's why I kind of like using the band. But you don't bend the knee. The knee has got to be straight. Whichever position you choose, the knee has to be straight, not locked, but straight. Now, when you're stretching, it's really important that you take your time to breathe into your stretch. So you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you let go, and you'll feel that everything can relax. That's when you feel that you're deepening the stretch, and that's when you might find that with every out breath, you can go that bit further deeper into the stretch, and it's for every stretch, for every muscle group. If you're able to just breathe out, let go, give a big sigh, or just a big breath out, you'll be able to go deeper into that stretch, and you'll find that that really helps with your stretching. So that was targeting the hamstrings this week. I hope that's helped you. Let me know how you get on.